Hi, I'm John Schroeder, and welcome to another edition of Cayce Clips. I want to offer my understanding on the hit-or-miss nature of psychic predictions. You know, I've studied the Edgar Cayce readings for most of my life, and he's known for making a number of predictions. The truth is that probably less than 1% of Cayce's readings actually contain predictions about future events. As you can see on the screen right now, here are some of the better-known psychics you may have heard of. Any of them would have a challenge to predict the future because the Earth has around 7 billion people on it, each of them with their own free will. Without free will, predicting the future would be easy, but that's hardly the case. Cayce would often offer conditions when answering questions about the future with something like, as things stand now, or unless the entity changes his ways, things will turn out like this. As difficult as predicting the future may be, Cayce had an amazing track record with many of the ones he did make that are hard to dispute. Here is a list with a few, with explanatory slides to go with them. I'll only leave them up for a few seconds each, knowing you can pause this recording if you want to study them in greater depth. First, he predicted the El Nino weather phenomenon in 1926, but science didn't confirm its effects until the 1960s. In 1927, Cayce predicted that we would one day be able to diagnose the physical condition of the body from a single drop of blood. In 1936, Cayce predicted the shifting of the magnetic poles to occur around the year 2000. As early as 1925, Cayce started to warn of the coming stock market crash in 1929. Dire warnings started in June of 1929. In 1937, Cayce claimed that there were female leaders within the Essene sect of the Jews. That was thought to be ridiculous until the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls around 10 years after that confirmed it. In 1935, Cayce predicted World War II. To me, that was not nearly as impressive as also predicting that Japan would align with Germany. After all, Hitler was about racial purity, so in 1935, no one could see that one coming. Cayce also spoke of the 1,000 years of peace, more commonly called the millennium. Unlike traditional Christian thinking, Cayce said that only people with a common goal of peace and cooperation would be allowed to incarnate during that period. Let me use that prediction to better explain the hit-or-miss nature of forecasting what will happen in the future. Let's say that today is the start of a new school year. We have students entering the first grade in the local public system as of right now. Assuming they stay within this district area for the next 12 years, it's possible to predict their graduation date with a great amount of clarity. The system is set up to graduate students according to a set schedule. However, not every student that starts first grade on day one will graduate 12 years later with those same students they started with. Some will move, some will drop out, some will skip or be held back a grade, and some may even suffer an unfortunate accident that takes them out of school altogether. So the prediction that the class of 2029 will graduate on Friday, May 25th, 2029 is practically assured to be correct. To say the new first graders, Jimmy or Sally, will be in the graduating class is problematic. So we all have free will to change our own futures, but in an overall sense, some things are easily predictable, like the millennium. But who will be there and allowed to incarnate during that 1,000 years of peace is up to each one of us as individuals in our free will. Cayce said, and I'm going to paraphrase here, souls have been on the earth for millions and thousands of years. They will continue to be here for hundreds and thousands of years to come. In other words, we all have a long way to go before the earth no longer serves as an excellent school for learning how to cooperate and play well with others. One thing is for certain, God is unwilling that any soul should perish. He loves us with an everlasting love. And there isn't one of us that God doesn't think is a delight, despite not catching us at our best behavior at this moment. I'm John Schroeder, and in the next Cayce Clips, we will discuss why everyone who remembers a past life always seems to have been somebody famous. Until then, remember that when it comes to knowing the true nature of God, there is no bad news.